The night over the Red Sea did not bring silence. Instead, it brought another test of American military readiness. Another moment where seconds mattered and failure was not an option. In the past 72 hours, U.S. naval forces operating in the region once again found themselves under direct threat from unmanned aerial vehicles and missiles launched by Iran-backed Houthi forces from Yemen. According to confirmed U.S. Central Command statements released on January 4 and January 5, American destroyers and carrier-based aircraft intercepted and destroyed multiple hostile drones and projectiles before they could reach international shipping lanes or coalition warships. This was not a symbolic show of force. It was a real combat operation carried out in real time under real danger. The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group, supported by guided missile destroyers equipped with Aegis air defense systems, detected incoming aerial threats moving northward across the Red Sea. Radar screens lit up as operators tracked objects flying low, designed specifically to evade detection. These drones were not improvised toys. They were military-grade systems supplied and engineered with external support, capable of carrying explosives and programmed for long-range attacks. American forces responded immediately. Standard missile interceptors and naval gun systems were deployed with precision. Within minutes, the threats were eliminated mid-air. No damage was reported to U.S. or Allied vessels. No commercial ships were hit. For Washington, this was another confirmation that the layered air defense doctrine developed over decades continues to work under combat conditions. The strategic importance of this moment cannot be overstated. The Red Sea remains one of the world's most critical maritime corridors. Nearly 12% of global trade passes through these waters. Any disruption has immediate consequences for energy prices, supply chains, and regional stability. Over the past weeks, repeated attacks on merchant vessels forced major shipping companies to reroute their fleets around Africa, increasing costs and transit times. The United States has made it clear that allowing armed groups to control or threaten this corridor is unacceptable. At the Pentagon, officials described the latest interceptions as defensive, proportionate, and necessary. Privately, military planners acknowledge that the frequency of attacks has increased, not decreased. Each interception is logged, analyzed, and used to update threat profiles. Every drone destroyed sends a message not only to the Houthis, but to Tehran, which Washington continues to accuse of enabling these operations through weapons transfers, intelligence sharing, and training. Meanwhile, diplomatic channels remain tense. In the last 48 hours, U.S. officials raised the issue again with allies in Europe and the Gulf. The message was blunt. Freedom of navigation is a red line. The United States is not seeking escalation, but it will not hesitate to act when its forces or global commerce are threatened. This dual approach, military readiness combined with diplomatic pressure, has become the defining feature of America's current posture in the region. For American sailors on watch that night, geopolitics was not an abstract concept. It was the sound of alarms, the glow of radar screens, the knowledge that a mistake could cost lives. And once again, the system held. The drones never reached their targets. The sea lanes remained open. The balance, for now, did not tip. As dawn broke over the Red Sea, the aftermath of the night's events became clearer. Wreckage from intercepted drones fell harmlessly into the water, scattered fragments marking yet another failed attempt to challenge American control of the skies and seas. For U.S. commanders, the operation was already over. For strategists in Washington, it was another data point in a conflict that shows no sign of fading quietly. In briefings held on January 5, senior U.S. defense officials emphasized that these interceptions were not isolated incidents, but part of a sustained campaign to protect international maritime security. Since late 2024, American forces have neutralized dozens of airborne threats in the region. Each engagement reinforces the same reality. The United States remains the only power capable of maintaining continuous, high-intensity naval air defense operations thousands of miles from its own shores. The Houthis, for their part, claimed responsibility for the launches, framing them as retaliation for U.S. and allied actions. However, Western intelligence assessments released in recent days underline a more complex picture. The drones and missiles used show increasing technological sophistication, pointing to steady external supply lines. This is why Washington continues to link these attacks to Iran, despite Tehran's public denials. The confrontation, while indirect, is undeniably part of a broader struggle for influence in the Middle East. At the same time, American diplomats worked to prevent further escalation. Behind closed doors, messages were sent through intermediaries warning that continued attacks would lead to consequences beyond interception. While no new strikes on Yemeni territory were announced in the last 72 hours, Officials made it clear that all options remain on the table. The U.S. approach is calibrated but firm. Defend first, deter second, escalate only if forced. What makes this moment particularly dangerous is the margin for error. A single drone slipping through could trigger a chain reaction, commercial casualties, economic shock, political pressure for retaliation. This is why the U.S. Navy operates on constant alert, why aircraft launch at a moment's notice, why crews train endlessly for scenarios they hope never fully materialize. The interceptions of early January were successful not by chance, but by preparation. Globally, allies took note. European governments welcomed the continued American presence, while shipping companies cautiously assessed whether conditions were improving. Markets reacted with brief volatility before stabilizing, a reminder of how tightly global systems are tied to security outcomes in distant waters. The United States, once again, found itself acting as the stabilizing force, not through speeches, but through action. Yet, even as this chapter closes, the broader conflict remains unresolved. The skies over the Red Sea may be clear today, but the forces driving these attacks are still in place. For now, the United States has drawn a line, enforced it, and held it. How long that balance lasts will depend on decisions made far beyond the decks of American warships. If you value clear, factual, and serious analysis of global military events without distortion, consider subscribing to our channel.